Like, yo, what is up, DTV peoples?
Hey everybody. Hey Danielle.
Hi, Ariana. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
You're looking pretty good. You got a nice little painting going on in the back there.
Yeah, I did that.
Picasso-esque.
Yeah, that was in my paint pouring phase. So 2020 paint pourings.
Oh.
Yeah, people say it reminds them of like the Native American, like the blankets and stuff. Yeah,
Oh
it's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, I see it.
It's
I
kind of
dig it.
trippy.
I'm into it.
Yeah, if that had been bigger, it would have been much better.
Well, hopefully you don't have another 2020 paint moment.
No,
Hopefully.
no, I have enough. I have a house full of them. I'm good.
um. So I have a icebreaker for us and everyone tuning
What you
in
got?
today. So we all have that moment in life where you go
Hmm.
see a show, a live musical performance, and it transcends you. It moves
Yeah.
you, it breaks down dimensions, and you are therefore changed for the better for the
Hmm.
rest of your life.
Yeah.
I have one. Mine was very long ago with a band called Manchester Orchestra. And I saw them
Ooh.
in Allston, Massachusetts, played a very small like divey venue. There was 2 drummers. It was absolutely insane and one of the best
Wow.
performances I've ever seen.
Wow.
But you
Hmm.
just saw someone perform the other night. So I'm
I did.
intrigued to hear how the concert went, and I'm very
Yeah.
excited to hear what your uh, best
Yes.
concert of all time was.
I'll tell you my favorite concert so far, and then we'll get to what I got to do Sunday night.
Okay.
Um, so to be honest, Ariana, I've been honestly probably to at least like 300 concerts in my life. Yeah,
Whoa.
pretty big deal. That's all I did high school, college years. I have my favorite story, and I'm gonna try to cut it short because it is very good. In 2000 and I think it was 15 or 16,
Mm.
I had bought tickets to see Muse.
Ooh.
Muse, as everybody knows, is an amazing performing band. Like, if you've not seen their live DVDs, you're totally missing out. Um, so my cousin at the time works for Live Nation, and he actually does a lot of the events and stuff. And I had missed a phone call from him, and he said he had VIP pit tickets to go to Muse, and I
Wow.
had already bought lawn seats,
Yeah.
and I could have just sold them and then took his tickets, but I missed the phone call, and so he called me back. Like, I called him back a couple hours later. He was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I already gave it to my friend." I was like, "Are you kidding me? You know I'm like a huge Muse fan. Like, how dare you?"
Right.
And so it was a pretty big deal, and I had a really hard time letting it go because the friend he gave it to was not nearly as big of a Muse fan as I was, so I was pretty
Right.
sour about it. Nonetheless, I ended up, me and my brother went. We drove down to Lakewood. It was a big venue in Atlanta. We get there. We actually meet up with my cousin, and he was like, "Hey, we're in the VIP area. Come hang out with us." So we went to go hang out. We were there for a few hours, and then like soon as the show was getting started, he was like, "All right, well, we're gonna go to the pit. We'll see you guys in the lawn later." I was like, "Okay." And so as we're leaving the VIP and we're about to branch off, he ran into a coworker of his that had this huge bag of VIP pit bracelets. Like,
Ah.
literally like 60 bracelets just falling. He was like, "Hey, I have all these extra pit tickets that people didn't show up or didn't buy. We need to fill it up. Do you
Right.
want to hand these out?" And I immediately looked at him and I just grabbed his face. I was like, "Give me bracelets." And so he just took 2, put one on my wrist, put one on my brother's wrist. We went from being in the lawn to being like 10 feet in front of Muse. I like cried. 30 Seconds to Mars started, opened for them.
Wow.
And Jared Leto like came out in the pit and stuff and was like standing up on this thing. It was nuts. But I got to see Muse like 10 feet away. Matthew Bellamy was right there. He did the whole the whole solo, like all of his solos in the show, the pyro, the lights, the music quality, his voice. I mean, it was just like overwhelming experience to go to see that band that
Right.
close and
Yeah.
perfectly. Like, that changed my life in terms of being in a concert that was just so insanely impressive. It was perfect. Like everything about that show was perfect. So yeah, that's my favorite concert
That's a
story.
very fun,
Yeah,
magical, serendipitous story.
absolutely. And it made me like teach me a lesson, like, be grateful. Like I went from, I was probably was still joining the lawn, but like, the luck of, having that one intersection of meeting that guy and getting the bracelets.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a huge deal. And I told my cousin, like I literally just like gave him the biggest hug. I was like, thank you so much. And I just kind of cried. I was like, I'll do whatever you want. Just I'll don't care. I owe you whatever. But yeah, so that's my story. But Sunday, this was a night that I had been preparing for since May when I bought the tickets. Yes, they were pricey. Yes, it was worth every penny. I got to see the lovely, amazing, and talented Billie Eilish, and it
Ooh.
was amazing. It did not disappoint. I know that I'm in my 30s. I have children. I still love music no matter what, age I'm going to be. I'm still going to like the new stuff.
Yeah.
She is just so talented, and she she's so many different kinds of influences, and she's very accepting of herself and accepting of her fans, like no matter how they are, and it comes out in her music. So I bought tickets at State Farm Arena in Atlanta, and I took my daughter Marilee. She's 12. She's also a huge Billie Eilish fan. This was her first concert. Her first real concert was
Wow.
Billie Eilish, and my first concert was the Backstreet Boys. So so it was huge. She had such a good time. She was so emotional. She cried. She was moved. She was like, she's really right there. She's right there. I was like, she's right
Yeah.
there. And it's just, you have your bands and then you have your artists like that. It's like, seeing Whitney Houston, or, Beyonce. It's just like something that is like a cornerstone of your mind forever, like a core memory. And I don't think she was ever going to forget that. That's now a core memory of concerts in her life.
Totally.
And it was life changing. So we have some clips I'm happy to share. We have one
Yeah.
of her doing Birds of a Feather and What Was I Made For? Yeah, that was
Oh
one.
man, I wanted to keep watching. I just got so into that.
I can
Wow.
send you a ton of other ones. And then there's a Birds of a Feather one. Yeah, she was so good. There was even, and I know, you know her discography pretty well, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Bury of a Friend, when she does that weird leaning back thing that she does, she arches her back. She had these, we saw the stage how it had like these two big squares. So behind each set of like the musicians in the band, she had these pyrotechnics coming up,
Yeah.
and they were like big. And the part where it is the Bury of a Friend was like, "Roar." She did the thing, and she came right up to the pyrotechnics and did the thing like that, and it went off, and I was like, Billy! Me and Mary were like, no, but she was fine, and she had it rehearsed, but it was so dramatic, and yeah, she killed it, and yeah, it just I have tons of videos. I'll send to you them on Slack at some point, but yeah, it was amazing. So
Oh, that's
yeah,
so good. It's so good to look forward to something so much and then see it and then
yeah,
be
they did not
happy.
disappoint, and yeah, it was awesome. I
Aw.
definitely want a highlight in the top 10 now forever. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, speaking of incredible musicians and music and things that changed the world, we
Mhm.
lost a very incredible pillar to the
We
music
did.
community on
Yeah.
November 3rd, not too long ago. That happened this week. Quincy
Mhm.
Jones passed away at the age of 91, surrounded by family at home, which is quite beautiful. He was a
Yeah.
humanitarian arranger, composer, songwriter, and producer of records, films, and TV. If you're tuning in, comment in the comment section your
Yeah.
favorite song or collection or anything by him.
Quincy is like a mastermind when it comes
Mm,
to the production quality of the things that he produces. If you
mm-hmm,
listen to Thriller, obviously, the whole album, if you know, he always pushed Michael to do real things. Like if you listen to like Rock With You and what's the other one? Something like that. But they had the choice of doing like, do you want to do digital brass instruments or do you want to do real brass instruments? And they were like,
mm,
oh, we want real brass. We want real instruments. And he always went with quality
mm-hmm,
in all of the things that he did. And you can hear that. And I don't know if you know this, but one of the last albums he produced was the Weekend album that he came out with, Dawn FM.
oh wow,
Dawn FM album, yeah, that had Save Your Tears or like all
mm-hmm,
that. That was his one of his last albums, and you could hear that influence that he had, like the same Michael Jackson esque
mm-hmm,
that The Weeknd kind of has
mm-hmm,
with Quincy's direction of that album, and
right,
that's also one of my favorite albums of all time. Just the whole way that whole thing was produced. And Quincy himself said when he did that album with The Weeknd, he said, "This is the best thing I've done since Thriller," and he totally
wow.
believes that, and he put that into it. So I don't know if you know that, but Quincy was the man, and it's a very sad to hear that he's no longer with us, but he's definitely left his mark on music, and I don't think anyone's ever not gonna know who he was for a very, very, very long time.
What a
So
life. 91, that's a
yeah,
very long, beautiful life.
yeah,
And to do that,
absolutely,
be surrounded by your family is pretty
for
special too.
sure.
So,
Yep. All right. Also in the news, the this past Friday, The Cure released "Songs of a Lost World," which was their first new studio album since 2008.
wow.
And then they actually performed the whole album live in London last Friday, which
Wow.
I need to go listen to that because I love The Cure. So I'm really interested in what that sounds like and how their sound has evolved. So,
Coldplay.
oh,
I want to just say, I love Coldplay. I
have
know
you
we
ever seen
just
Coldplay?
literally never.
I have. I saw them last year or the year before last.
I
Yep.
love Coldplay, but I love like the first three albums of Coldplay because it's like
I'm
nostalgia,
a
it's
thousand
memories,
percent. Oh
it's
yeah, absolutely.
you
The
know what I
first three
mean.
albums, perfect.
But yeah, so from October 30th to November 3rd, Coldplay performed 4 shows at Marvel
Wow.
Stadium in Melbourne, Australia, breaking the venue's attendance record with a combined total of 227,000 attendees,
Wow.
and a record of 181,495 was previously held by AC/DC, which is
Wow.
wild. Plus, Karate Kid actor Ralph
Yes.
Macchio
Ralph Macchio.
Macchio himself guested as one of these
I
as
saw
one
that
of
on TikTok.
Coldplay
Oh, that
shows
was
singing the
hilarious.
song
He did a
Karate
pretty
Kid.
decent job. Like he did a pretty decent. You can look at him on TikTok.
Yeah.
He did a pretty decent job. Yeah, I heard about this, and it doesn't shock me. When I saw Coldplay, it was like their last year, the year before. It was at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and that can fit like 70,000, 80,000 people, and that was packed. So, yeah, they're good. They've been doing this for so long,
Yeah.
and I'm 1,000% agree. I'm very much more of a fan of the first three albums, like Rush of Blood to the Head, all those kinds of
Mm-hmm.
songs. That was my jam in like my high school, college, whatever
Yeah.
times. This is kind of ironic too, because Coldplay, this was in Australia.
Mhm.
Tom York has also been in Australia, and he's been there for like the past 2 weeks. And it's
Mm.
just ironic, like, because they're both in Melbourne and Sydney.
I
And
know that'd be cool if they did a little cameo or something.
people always pit like Coldplay and Radiohead against each other. I mean, they're not all that
Really?
similar, but yeah, as Radiohead, like, not, yeah, a lot of people put them together, and it's
Yeah.
a lot like, well, Coldplay is like a watered down version of Radiohead that's not as
Mm.
depressing, and they're both British, and it's a similar setup. So I
Yeah.
think that's kind of funny they're in the same neighborhood at the same time. So yeah, that's cool. Check out that video, the Ralph
Okay.
Macchio one. He did pretty good.
Okay.
Let's see. On Saturday Night Live this past weekend, Chappel Roan crossed off her bucket list of performing there, and she played Pink Pony Club and a new song called "The Giver." Do you like Chappell Roan, Ariana?
Listen, Do I? I think it's literally the phenomenon of her,
Mm-hmm.
because I love listening when an album comes out. I love listening to it from
Mm-hmm.
like start to finish, especially when people are like,
Yep.
it's so good. And you're like, why is it that good? And then you listen to it and you're like, damn it, it's really good. So her producer was, do you remember As Tall as Lions? Did you
Mm-hmm.
ever listen to that band back in the day? He used
Oh
to be in that
man,
band.
yeah.
There's like, there's videos of him and her, like writing some of the songs together. And I saw them play at the House of Blues like forever ago. But it's just so crazy how some of your favorite college bands have, you think,
Yeah.
disappeared, but then they go in and create incredible music with some of these new up and coming artists. So
Yeah.
yes, long story short,
I love her.
she has some really good
She's
stuff.
a really cool sound. It's very much like, there's a kind of a female wave right now of like these new artists. We've got like Olivia Rodrigo, we've got Sabrina Carpenter, we got Chappel Roan. We
Hmm.
still have Taylor Swift, obviously.
Renee Rapp's
And
coming up there too. You got a little
yeah,
Fletcher
we've other
vibe too.
artists coming up. Some of
Yeah.
those people who like straddle that weird like pop country, and then you've
Hmm.
like pop hip hop type thing. I like Chapel's sound. She has like this kind of, and I call it like a Cyndi Lauper-esque attitude
It's
in a
like
sense.
uh oh my god.
This 80s,
Pat
yeah,
Benatar vibes. Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of,
yeah.
yeah. She is like like Hot to Go, that has like that
Hmm.
boom, 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 a
Hmm.
very 80s, like that sounds like something you could hear from like a Cyndi Lauper song. So it's
Totally.
got this kind of like retro repackaged feel with
Hmm.
her, and she's very unique and she's very open and she's very interesting. Her and Olivia Rodrigo, I think she's been opening for Olivia Rodrigo for her past tour this year.
Oh wow.
And there's a couple videos on TikTok of them singing songs together. If you
And
want to
she
check that
has
out.
a female drummer. She's a
Yes,
badass
she
drummer.
does. Yes,
She
she does.
rips. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. It's always good to know.
Yeah. Game shows.
Yeah.
Game shows. The
Oof,
funnest thing
oof.
to do, maybe ever
Mhm.
right now on the internet, would be to come play a Drum Talk TV game show with us.
Yes,
And if you're into numerology, you would know that 1111 is quite a magical number and date.
you are
And
correct.
we are having our next game show on 1111 at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Yes, we are.
And it's not just for members, it's not just for musicians. It's an open house. So if you haven't checked out a game show yet and you're like, I think I want to, Danielle and I are here to tell you, we know you want to, and you know that we know that you want to, because it's going to be
And
so
I know
fun.
that you know that we know that I know that we know.
And we all know. So I'm pretty sure we have a very exciting video for you to check out.
Welcome. Yes,
Very fun.
our events are really gaining momentum. We're getting more people. People just love the games. The last time that game was so much fun. I had like such a great time.
It got a bit competitive too. I like really
Yes,
wanted to win. I was
yes,
trying very hard.
I know. It was the trivia was great. It was so well put together. And if you want to go register to play, you can go to drumtalktvbrilliance.com. You can even go to drumtalktv.com and it'll take you
Hmm.
here anyways because we redirect now.
Ooh.
So, and also there's a whole events page you can click off to. You can learn more about the trivia and other interviews we've got coming on. So all you have to do is click on the event and there's a respond button. You respond, you say, I'm going to show up and you be there. And the prizes have been really cool, dude. Like we gave away lava lamps. People
Mm-hmm.
went crazy over those lava lamps.
And the lunchbox.
We had the cool lunchbox, and we had like vinyl coasters, like all reflective of like the 80s, or not, sorry, the decades. So
Mm-hmm.
that was really cool. So yes, open house November 11th. It's on a Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern. If you want to have a beer or a nightcap or whatever and play, it's so much fun, and we have such a good time. So hope to see you there. Let's see. Also coming up soon, on next Wednesday on the 13th, 5 p.m. Pacific time, Dan will be talking with Jeff Berlin in a public Q&A for the legendary bass player who will share his thoughts on bass education.
Oh,
And these are some of the prizes we gave away from the last trivia game. So yeah, people were going crazy over these.
yeah, that's the
They
Fender
love
Lunchbox.
them.
Super cool. The lava lamp, very nostalgia, very groovy, if you
Yeah,
will.
it was. Yeah.
Um,
And
next,
we have a video to show you about the Jeff Berlin public Q&A with Dan.
Hi, everybody. Dan Schinder here on Drum Talk TV with Jeff Berlin, wonderful bass player, one of my favorites. And we are going to do a live discussion. I'm going to interview Jeff about the state of bass education. There's a lot of different viewpoints on that. You may have some. Jeff definitely has some. And we invite you to join this discussion via the comments. Jeff, give everybody an idea of what to expect.
Well, bass education has no checks and balances, nor does it have a core approach of teaching. And because it's so broad and so non-specific, bass students, I believe, are not being taught properly and might not be aware of this. Some people have said that the electric bass is still a young instrument and that there isn't a core curriculum, but I don't believe that's the reason at all. I mean, personally, I have a core curriculum and had one for years. I think that the neglect among the bass educators to provide a core curriculum that applies to everybody needed to be addressed, maybe in detail, and that is something I'd like to do. I want to share these thoughts with people.
We promise that this is going to be a compelling discussion, that you're welcome to chime in the comments. I'll be relaying what people are asking and saying to Jeff, and he will speak to those comments from his viewpoint, and it's going to be fun and educational. So please join us. All the times are in the post and on the screen, and we look forward to seeing you then.
Yes, indeed.
Man,
whoa.
he was making that bass sing. I love that. And Jeff seems to have a lot of knowledge and opinions on bass. And I think if anybody's interested, and I don't know if you know this, but I always feel like drumming and bass playing go hand in hand in a way. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a marriage.
Yeah,
They're married. They're married.
yeah, and I always struggle with guitar because you have all your fingers and all the different strings, right?
Yeah, there's a lot
It's a
going
lot
on.
more spread out, right? And then with bass, you have more scales. If as long as you're in the right key, you can kind of play high or low. Like it's more open. It's more improvisational. Improvisation. Thank you. Oh my God.
Mhm.
Improvisational in a way, as long as you know the key you're in and then you can kind of play around with it. It's more
Yeah.
open, but it also it's more of a rhythm holding instrument versus just a featured thing like a guitar. So I love learning about bass players and like their experience and their knowledge because it's always somehow reflective on rhythm and drumming too. So
Oh my gosh, yeah. And
I'm definitely gonna want to watch that.
nothing beats a track when you're just like, you can hear the drums and the
Dude,
bass.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just sometimes it's just like the butter of the song that
Yes.
sticks together, it's just so
Salted
smooth.
butter.
Like if you think of like a Red Hot Chili Peppers song without Flea, it's just not the same. Like
Empty. It's
it
vacant.
just doesn't feel the same, it's something that's always overlooked in bass. There's all those bass player jokes of like, nobody cares about the bass player, but really,
Yes.
they really are a huge piece of any kind of band, and they just will never. Nothing will sound the same without a bass player. So,
And then you get jazz, and bass and the standing bass. So
right?
But there's another Q&A coming up Saturday, November 16th, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for Brilliance members. So this is even more of a reason why the Brilliance membership is pretty cool. It's a Q&A with Rudy Sarzo, and he's, again, a really amazing bassist known for playing with Quiet Riot, Ozzy Osbourne, and Whitesnake. And we have a pretty cool video to check out.
We do.
Hey everybody, this is Rudy Sarzo. You may know me from Quiet Riot, Whitesnake, Ozzy, Dio, and you can join me for a Q&A where you, the fans, can ask me some questions. All you have to do is join Drum Talk TV Brilliance over at drumtalktv brilliance.com. And then you will be sent access to the Q&A session. It will take place Saturday, November 16th, noon Pacific at 3 p.m. Eastern U.S. time, 8 p.m. UK time. Read the details in the post, and I'll see you there.
What a character. That looks like pretty cool fun. Direct access to a bassist who's been in some of the greatest rock bands of all time doesn't seem like too shabby.
Yeah.
Of a
Right. That sounds awesome. So that's Saturday, November 16th. And it is a Brilliance members only thing. And there's another video we'll have on the Facebook page soon. And it's going to show like these Q&As happen in this cool virtual environment. It's like a virtual theater, kind of like in like a video game in a sense. And in the Q&A, you get to actually ask the question directly to the person being interviewed. So you get to be on the screen the same time they do. And you can ask them anything, like as long as it's not inappropriate, like you pretty much ask them whatever you want. And it's really, really cool how these interactions go. I saw the last one, and it was with Nigel, and they're really cool, and it's totally worth your time and effort and money for sure, because it's a very unique experience.
Oh my God, and direct access is so great. Direct access virtually in the comfort of your own home.
Absolutely.
That sounds, sign me up. No traffic involved. I'm there.
Right. Some other things that are coming up, DTV events. Dan just interviewed Johnny Faye, the drummer of Tragically Hip. We're going to have that up on the Facebook page soon today.
Cool. Monday, November 11th, Dan and Steven will go live at noon Pacific Standard Time on Yes Shift to discuss an odd one-time Yes lineup that performed at a 2004 concert that honored Trevor Horn. Fun.
Tuesday, November 12th at noon, there will be a DTV interview with Diane Downs. She's the founder of Louisville Leopard Percussionists. They are a performing percussion ensemble comprised of 2nd to 9th grade student musicians.
That's love the name. Cool. Love the
name. Right. That is a really cool name.
Thursday, November 14th, Dan and Steven will interview Dave Kersner about his new album, It, which is a tribute to the 50-year-old Genesis concept album, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. Pretty cool.
That's one of my favorite Genesis albums for sure. And then Friday, November 15th, we have another DTV interview with Amanda Muse, and she has a new album, Epic Drumline Promos. Ooh, I want to watch that. Interesting. Drumline. And of course, there's always more stuff scheduled, and you can always see the calendar. Go to drumtalktvbrilliance.com or even just Drum Talk TV. It'll take you there, and you can see more about the events. So much cool stuff. We don't even have time to go over all this stuff.
Too much good stuff going down.
Too much.
Okay, cool, we're going to close out our time together, everyone, with This Day in Music segment. So November 6th. In 1993. Wow. Pearl Jam went to number 1 on the U.S. album chart with Versus. Selling 950,378 copies, making it the highest sales in U.S. album history in 1 week. Whoa.
I believe that. That was a great album. Let's see. In 1982, November 6th, Soft Cell's version of Tainted Love achieved the longest unbroken run on the UK charts when it had its 43rd week on the top 100. Jesus. Bow, bow. Bow, bow.
1970, Aerosmith performed their first gig ever, which was in Mendon, Massachusetts.
Wow.
Which is, that's crazy to think about. That
53 years ago, 54 years ago. Oh my God.
Wow.
Woo! I'm feeling old. Okay. And last but not least, in 1965, November 6th, the Rolling Stones started a 2-week run at number 1 on the U.S. singles charts with "Get Off My Cloud." And that was the group's second U.S. number 1. And that song actually knocked the Beatles Yesterday from the number 1 position. That's a tough feat.
Wow. Well, before we go, we have a little cherry on top, and we're going to show you a bit more of the Brilliance membership before we head out today.
Drum Talk TV Brilliance is for you if you want to enjoy exclusive live stream concerts, want to participate in fan Q&As with big artists, want to play fun music-themed game shows online with a chance to win prizes, you're a drummer and want videos posted of you playing to your favorite music without it being muted or pulled, and so much more. And it's only $12 a month or $120 a year. That's less than a combo meal at most fast food restaurants. That's an insane deal.
That's amazing.
It's not just for drummers. It's for all music fans.
I just got all pumped.
Awesome. Do you want a Whopper or do you want to interview a famous musician? I think I'm gonna go with the famous musician. The Whopper's not gonna make me feel good in the long run at all. You know
You're
that.
wrong. I could tell you from experience.
It won't. It won't work.
Well, this was lovely. And it was so
course.
good talking to you and catching
Yes,
up.
absolutely.
And look forward to next week.
Yes, and everybody will see you at the trivia game next week or the interview with Rudy this weekend. Don't forget to check it out. Bye.